my name is Noelle. I'm a registered dietitian at Community Mental Health. I've been walking you through our 3 macronutrients. We have covered carbs and protein, which leaves our last macronutrient, fats. Now, fats like carbs are really misunderstood and have a bad reputation. Again, absolutely crucial in our diet. You notice I said that for each one. And that's why when we have these kinds of diets that restrict a certain food group, low-fat diet used to be a big craze, our body just doesn't function as well. So fats, when we digest them, break down into triglycerides. So again, we don't have it breaking down into glucose, meaning it's not a quick source of energy for our body. Fat is more of long-term energy for our body. And we used to think that's all it really was. We had fat stores on our body just in case we needed it. We're finding more and more that fat does a lot more than previously thought. So on a cellular level, it actually makes up our cell membranes, keeps our cells in the shape they should be and moving around like they should. Now, fats are also crucial to make up hormones and neurotransmitters. These are 2 different chemical messengers. Neurotransmitters are used in our brain. Hormones are used throughout our body. So if we don't have adequate fats, this starts to break down and we see a lot of bad things as a result. So the best forms of fat that we can get in our diet are unsaturated fat. So this is mostly from plant sources and also from fish. So when we're thinking of healthy fats that we want to get every day in our diet, we're thinking of things like olives and olive oil, avocados and avocado oil, nuts and seeds, our fatty fish like salmon, tuna, trout, mackerel, sardines. And that's really it for our healthy fats. So these are the best fats for us. And unfortunately, this is probably the fat that people get the least amount of. And I would recommend at least trying to get a serving of this a day. Fatty fish is recommended to get twice a week. And if we're not going to do that, they do recommend you take a fish oil supplement. And this is because fatty fish in particular have our most beneficial form of unsaturated fat, which is known as omega-3 fatty acids. So these fats in particular are really, really important for our brain health and also really important to fight inflammation in our body. So we're finding more and more that inflammation is the precursor to all sorts of chronic diseases. I mean, if we don't have inflammation in our body, we're probably going to be disease-free. So next up we have saturated fats. So saturated fats are from animal sources, and we are finding that most people can have plenty of saturated fats in their diet and don't have to worry about restricting it, which used to be the thought process. So saturated fat is coming from animal sources, any kind of meats, dairy, butter, and these we just want to have in moderation and make sure we also have sources of unsaturated fats coming in. About 30% of us have a certain gene that would make having too much saturated fat lead to heart disease, but 70% of us do not. So if you do have a history of heart disease in your family, this might be something you have to watch, and you would definitely want to make sure you're getting your cholesterol checked each year. The last source of fat in the human diet is trans fats. Now this occurs naturally in some foods, but mostly added in really processed foods or fast food. So this used to be a bigger thing about 10, 15 years ago, but mostly it's out of our food supply by now because we were finding such bad results and increased risk of heart disease from eating these trans fats. So this would definitely be a fat you want to avoid as much as possible. You always want to look at your food label and see how the fat breakdown is. But we don't need to be afraid of our healthy sources of fat. It's one of the best things we can eat for our mental health, for our hormonal health, and just general health.